image library or something like that, in which case we would have to think about, like, is it worth X number of hours of testing, right, in that focused area? In this case, no. It was just like a one-off issue, pretty simple to fix. We didn't need to do a lot of testing around it. Other questions we ask ourselves: is this in a common library that might affect other products? In this case, no. Lots of other questions, obviously, floating around this meeting. So what we need to do is basically get the information on this workaround that we have, the JavaScript Blacklist framework, and get it out there for customers. But we can't post it without knowing for sure that we have the right information out there. So we're kind of the authority here, so we can't afford to give out information that's incomplete or is going to cause problems or isn't correct. So so right now on this first day, we're doing a ton of testing to verify that we have the right workaround, the right information to get to customers. So yeah, talked about that. So partners, 0-day situation, getting information out to antivirus partners is really important so that they can deploy protections for our mutual customers. Having a workaround is better, so that you can really block the exploit at the source with the workaround. Back to Wendy.
Do the switcheroo here.
Oh, geez. Hundreds. Yeah. With the Reader team, like I said, everyone's been through the security training, and everyone has to get involved in a case like this, where we're basically talking about a major release of Reader. So.
Okay, so back to our timeline. Amazingly, all that we've gotten up to at this point has only happened in one day. So at this point, I think we finally crashed, and we got ready for day 2. So so besides obviously the workaround, we also asked some other questions that are going to go into our security advisory, which is the next thing we want to get posted to the public as soon as possible. And that is, when can we ship the patch? And we definitely want to note that in our advisory. We really make sure that we can get that data out there so we can get that information out to our customers as soon as possible. Big question is, can we turn around in a 2-week 0-day patch, or can we slide it into our next quarterly release? As Dave mentioned, our next one was within 4 weeks, so that was definitely a consideration. We also thought about that the holidays were around the corner, so if we did a 0-day release within 2 weeks, some of our customers may not even be around and not be able to schedule it. So that was part of considering the date. We also knew we couldn't do both. We were so close to the quarterly release, that if we did a 0-day patch, it would ultimately affect that release date. Also, obviously, we're thinking about any other information we can put into the advisory, again, to keep as much communication out there as possible. Okay, so another communication vehicle we use is our Security Bulletins and Advisories webpage, and it is just that, pretty dry. It's where we post all security bulletins and advisories. We always have a corresponding PSIRT blog, as mentioned, because we know a lot of people have RSS feeds, and the second this thing gets posted, we have a PSIRT blog that goes up. And we have corresponding information in the PSIRT blog, and of course a link to the advisory. And we rely on the press to help get the word out, get it to our customers so that they have this workaround, as Dave mentioned, so they can ultimately stop the exploit at its source. Okay, so that's day 2. So day 1, we acknowledge the report, the issue's real. Day 2, we've got the workaround out. Day 3 now, we're like, okay, what else can we communicate? What else can we tell people? So another communication vehicle is our asset blog. This is something we use much more frequently. It's a more casual communication vehicle we use. We often have asset security researchers who post here Brad Arkin, who some of at-stakers may know. He's our director of security at Adobe. He'll often post blogs, chime in on major security efforts that are going on. We'll post when we're attending conferences. We actually posted right before we came to Source. And we also provide analysis information on any other hot topics of the day. So in this case, we utilized the asset blog to talk about the decision we made on why what date we used for the patch. And the two different options that were in front of us was we stop everything, we do a 0-day release within 2 weeks or less if we can. And we knew very well that that could affect our quarterly release schedule, which was coming up around the corner. The other option, of course, was roll the fix into the quarterly release on January 12th. Two important considerations for this decision was the JavaScript Blacklist mitigation, which Dave's going to talk about in a bit, and the customer schedules. As mentioned, holidays are around the corner. We have to factor that in. Are people going to be able to deploy the patch? Especially considering maybe a lot of people will be out on vacation and such. The decision, of course, was we rolled this fix into the quarterly release. And you can certainly go to the asset blog if you want to get more information.
Yeah, so moving on to day 4 here. So the JavaScript Blacklist, we had put out the information which gave you the workaround. And we were really curious to hear customer feedback on the JavaScript Blacklist because this is the first time that we had used it in production. It was a feature that we developed and put out in the October quarterly release. And the way that the JavaScript Blacklist works is it's really simple. There's a reg key that you can use to blacklist any a particular function. So in this case, doc.media.newPlayer. So it's the first time it's being used. We're really interested to get feedback. We want it to work, obviously, and we've done a lot of testing to make sure it works. It's good to hear that, hear that confirmation. So in this case, we got great feedback from the customers. In one instance, we had a major customer who had over 120,000 desktops, and they deployed it within 24 hours of us posting the information, and there was no negative impact. So that's great. And they actually were monitoring and saw that some of the exploits were blocked. So hopefully we won't get Stalloned again. So we posted obviously instructions for how to implement this registry key change. We also posted registry key just to, you could point and click. So I'm going to import that registry key, and I'm going to launch this again just to show you how it works. So basically, it's disabled. You get a message that the JavaScript was disabled. Yay. I'll show you what the reg key looks like. Real exciting. So a blacklist, and then we added doc.media.newPlayer. So that's the extent of it, and we were happy to see that it worked in this case. And that's what basically helped us make that decision, made that decision easier for us. So moving back to this timeline, you can see here the 17th we start getting the feedback. Over the holidays, we're working. The reader team is working. They're the ones doing the real work. They're actually doing testing. So a lot of retesting has to happen in this case. We've got, we had the quarterly security update getting prepared to be pushed out on January 12th. So there's a lot of holidays in that interim. A lot of installer testing had already happened. That needs to be redone. We've got all these platforms and languages. I won't go on and on about all the hard work that they had to do, but they did have to do it. And at the same time, they're working. Our customers are deploying the workaround and having their own issues. So as on the PSIRT team, it's important for us. PSIRT never sleeps, basically. So we have weekend coverage and holiday coverage. That's stuff we have to think about. In this case, we have it's not just us either. It's the product teams. Like key people on the product teams need to be available. So we have like a phone tree, cheesy phone tree that we hand out ahead of holidays.